Hello and welcome to Chartbusters. Well, this is a show where we highlight all the buzzing stocks of the day, also get you some expert advice on how you can capitalize and trade. All that and more in the next half hour. Raw as we speak, the Nifty has come off the high point of the day, more or less flattish as we speak, mildly holding in the green. And if you look at the Asian markets as well, they have come off the top. Majority of those markets trading in the red. So, the Nifty is actually doing a relative outperformance if you compare with what's going on with the Asian markets. Hey, Mangalam.
Hi, Nigel. Absolutely some outperformance coming in, perhaps, on account of the flows that have come to our markets as well. Nearly $3 billion in just this month itself. As we speak, the PSU pack, that's doing fairly well as we look at a lot of these stocks. And by PSU, not just the PSU banks, all the public sector enterprises, be it Power Grid, ONGC, State Bank of India, and even from the futures and options space, we have Oil India, which is doing well, MRPL, Bank of India, GSFC, PEL, NCC, all the public sector stocks, they're doing fairly well. So let's see how this comes about. The mid-cap index, after a little bit of an underperformance over the last couple of weeks, outperforming today. First up, all the top stories, and then we get cracking on individual stocks that we're talking about. Reliance and ADAG stocks, they're in focus. Reliance Communications completes payment of 550 crore rupees and interest to Ericsson. Asset sale pact between Reliance Communication and Jio is terminated. Telecom assets are to be taken to the NCLT.
And CNBC-TV18's Newsbreak is confirmed as L&T signs a deal with VG Siddhartha to buy his entire stake in Mindtree at 980 rupees per share. Mindtree promoters condemn and remain unconditionally opposed to L&T's takeover bid. AM Nayak tells CNBC-TV18 that they're not looking at a merger in the near future.
Hero MotoCorp, Eicher Motors and TVS Motors, all of them under pressure as reports suggest that two-wheeler makers are set to cut production by 15% from March to May. Two-wheeler inventory levels are as high as 80 to 90 days. This versus normal inventory of 20 days.
And ARC is in focus. Edelweiss continues to gain as ArcelorMittal's resolution plan for SR Steel gets NCLAT nod. Edelweiss ARC, remember, has exposure of around 7,000 crore rupees to SR Steel. JM Financial as well gains as Hotel Leela sells most of its properties to Brookfield for a consideration of around 3,950 crore rupees. JM Financial ARC holds 26% in the company.
All right, just as we speak, State Bank of India, that's the stock which is surging, and it's moved to the high point of the day, gain of about 1.5%. Maybe a lot of these asset resolutions helping SBI's cause. And on the other hand, we have the consumer stocks. They have not been doing too well over the last few trading sessions, perhaps some money being taken off the low beta names, going into high beta names. So Godrej Consumer currently at the low point of the day, and we have Britannia too, which is sitting at the lowest end of today's trading range. So the consumer stocks, they have been under pressure. How do you trade the Nifty? It's absolutely flat, where the mid-caps are doing well. We have Prakash Gaba joining in. Prakash, petered out the morning gains, but do you think this is consolidation, pausing for breath, and then look up going forward?
Yes, certainly. Good morning to you. I would say that, yes, there is some strength in the lower regions. It opened the gap. That's why it's trading a bit lower. But actually, if you look at yesterday and today, I think it's still the yesterday's low is a very good low to work with. If you get an opportunity to buy a Nifty or a Bank Nifty there, I think that's a good opportunity to buy. So far, we've waited out because there's low regions, there's support. Support is around 11,400 zones to 450 zones. This is zones to buy into. I have one long, one short. ONGC is a buy. I think it's heading to levels closer to 170 zones. Stop below 155 should be okay. And a solitary sell is L&T. Looks like it's got exhausted, mighty problems coming on their way. Possibly target on the downside 1325, stop above 1375.
All right, so Prakash is saying you're looking to get in at around 11,400, around 11,450. What targets are you looking at on the upside? Yesterday we did a U-turn from around that 11,530 odd.
Yesterday we had a target of 11,512, with that we got achieved. To me, the trend is still intact up. The first target is 11,512. From there, beyond that to 11,649. I think it's going there. It's a matter of time. Only thing is when it's going there. We might see an expansion, a contraction. A contraction could be two ways. Sideways is basically means price-wise correction or a time-wise correction. I hope it's more time-wise. That's better and it's healthy. But a correction is due and is needed and is wanted. I would want that to happen. If you don't get it, you miss the bus. But if you get it, lucky.
All right. Disclosures, Prakash?
No, none.
All right, thanks a lot for that. We'll keep coming to you through the course of the day. With that, we talk about aviation. As the turbulent times continue for Jet Airways, the pilot union body of the airline, National Aviators Guild, will meet later today on account of delayed salaries. Anu Sharma has the detail. Anu, what are you picking up?
Well, amid declining operations and inconclusive talks with Etihad and lenders, Jet Airways continues to face turbulent times. As promised, Naresh Goyal did write to the employees yesterday saying that the situation is complex and requires a further short time to conclude. Goyal also said that the airline has decided to curtail its operations as per the number of aircraft it is currently operating. Remember, as per the company's exchange filings, a total of 41 planes, or around 34% of its fleet, is grounded due to non-payment of lease rentals. However, if you look at the aircraft tracking websites, which would also include the inactive planes on account of maintenance, the company is currently operating only 45% of its total fleet of 119 aircraft. So the larger picture remains that the much needed interim funding support of 750 crore rupees is yet to come from Etihad, and as of right now there has been no agreement among the stakeholders with regard to the resolution plan for Jet Airways. Today, the airline's pilot union body, the National Aviators Guild, will hold its AGM in Mumbai at 3 o'clock. This will be the first meeting of pilots after their letter to the government on delayed salaries, and we will continue to track that space for more. Back to you.
Okay, all right. Thanks so much for that, Anu. Well, you had the mid-cap index, and yesterday was a relative underperformer. You had the mid-cap as well as the small-cap indices, both of them trading in the red yesterday, when the Nifty, in fact, ended with a gain of around 35 points. Today, it's a reversal of sorts because the mid-cap index is doing very, very well. And a few stocks that are catching my eye in the last few minutes. You have Sarda Energy. That stock has moved higher. So let's get the intraday chart of that one up for you on the screen. And a couple of these other names as well. Avanti Feeds and Waterbase, both of them are moving higher, and both of them have moved higher in the last few minutes. I don't know whether there's any news flow that's coming in there, but both Avanti Feeds as well as Waterbase, even Apex Frozen Foods, actually, that one as well is moving higher. So it appears all these stocks, in fact, suddenly are moving higher. And VIP Industries as well, stock was holding more or less flattish. That, in fact, has moved higher. We have some news that's coming in there that Wollongong Coal, JSPL, is in talks with some creditors to restructure some part of the debt. And I'll tell you what, if they could restructure some part of that, it'll be very, very good. But some of these assets are loss-making. So if they can get rid of it itself, it'll be very, very good news. So that's some incremental news that's coming in there. Big trigger for JSPL, though, is listing of the Oman business, getting a strategic partner in there. If they can do that, then the debt can come down from around that 40,000 crore rupees odd. So that really is the big trigger. But on that note, let's get in some market opinion coming in from Gautam Trivedi of Nepean Capital on what he makes of the market as well as his sectorial calls.
I think the rally seems to be an emerging market rally. It's not limited to India. As you've seen year to date, most Asian markets are up. I mean, China, the Shanghai Composite is up as much as 27%. The Brazilian stock exchange is up to a new lifetime high. So as a result, I don't think this is limited. It has certainly coincided with the issues that we've had with Pakistan. But I think, and of course, the renewal, the resurgence in the approval ratings of the current government. But I think that seems to be more of a coincidence, and the money that's come in so far, almost $5 billion from foreign institutional investors, I think can sustain for some more time. I think a lot really depends on the outcome of the general election. And the mood that I saw in Asia last week was that if the BJP / the NDA were to come back into power, that would be, I think the rally would continue even more strongly. This has been a trading zone for most PSU banks. You buy them and they're at 0.3, 0.4 times book. You know, some of them get to to 1 times book or just below, and that's really when you made, I guess, some good money. But the fact is, the big bet that somebody's taking today is that structurally the problems of the PSU banks, as far as the NPL issues are concerned, have been cleared, and I don't think that's happened fully. Secondly, as far as the working of PSU banks, nothing has changed, let's be honest. So, while you can recapitalize these banks, have they significantly changed in the way they work and operate? Frankly, I need to see more evidence of that. I think there's more pain in the auto sector. The pain's been caused by two factors, really. First is the fact that outside of the 4 meter length, which itself is a ridiculous metric and I think it only exists in India, where you have a lower GST or tax rate for cars under 4 meters and then those above. The second element, of course, is the tight funding scenario from NBFCs right now. So until both of those don't change and the NBFC funding doesn't accelerate, I don't mean just NBFCs, even banks for that matter have been pretty tight-fisted when it's come to auto financing. So until that doesn't change, I don't think you're going to see any significant improvement in auto numbers, and hence I'd actually stay away from the sector right now.
All right, well, Gautam was talking about PSU banks, how they're working hasn't changed, but the street seems pretty excited about these banks moving forward, because Bank of India now up around 5%, Union Bank is up around 4%, and then we have a couple of these cement stocks doing fairly well, south-based ones, especially we have India Cements, which is at the high point of the day. Most of the gains coming by in just the last few minutes. Take a short break, come back, we talk about the two-wheeler stocks. All of them are under pressure as reports suggest that the companies have taken production cuts. More details on that as we return.